Hello, this video is about explaining how you can create from raw data using some Python libraries and the Jupyter Notebook, how you can create a small COVID-19 dashboard. So we just used a couple of libraries, a couple of Python libraries, which are NumPy, Pandas, and Matplotlib for this. Uh, and the data that we used was actually sourced from this Git repository, which is the COVID-19 data repository by the Center for Systems Science and Engineering at Johns Hopkins University. This is public data, so you can access it like I can. And we use basically Git to pull this data. After pulling the data, we looked at the data. So the data comes as CSV files, so you can very easily visualize them in a tabular format using pandas. That's what I'm doing here, and we can already see that there are certain fields that are not so interesting, and I will then need to filter them out. Okay, so here I was just looking at the data initially and see how many countries there are. There are enough countries there. And so because you have multiple CSV files, you need to concatenate them and also to remove the columns that are not relevant for this exercise. As you can see here, I have a loop. I'm just going through all the CSV files in the directory, and then I'm just extracting some columns. The country region, the last update, that's like the date. Yes, in which the cases are confirmed. And then, okay, I have the confirmed cases, I have the deaths and the recovered. So there is also an active column, but this active column is calculated later on, and we'll see that. Okay, so after executing this small script, I will have a single pandas data frame with the data that is contained in all these CSV files. Okay, so here I am just transforming the data, so I'm performing some data conversions. I'm sorting the data obviously here, and because we are also interested only in daily results, and some countries they have multiple reports. They report multiple times a day. We needed to aggregate these numbers. Yeah. So here we basically aggregate by country and date, so that we have daily observations. Yeah. Okay, so here I'm just visualizing the data, how it looks like after these transformations. Also, I was checking if the data is always consistent. Sometimes the data is not consistent. Sometimes you have on one day a higher number of confirmed cases, and in the next day you have less confirmed cases, which does not make much sense. And then the cases rise up again. So there are lots of inconsistencies in some countries, and actually you can see that in the graphs. Okay, I just created one single plotting function, and this is the plotting function that you can see here. I'm just using Matplotlib here, and this plotting function basically just displays for one single country the confirmed, the deaths, the recovered, and the active cases. Yeah, here you can actually see that the data is not very consistent, because in one day suddenly the confirmed cases they just sink and then they jump up again, and this happens actually twice in the US data. So this data was not interpolated or corrected for this exercise. I just left the data as it is. For example, for Germany, the data is quite consistent and seems to be okay. For China, also something is wrong here. Actually, here this is a different chart that actually I'm not commenting too much on. Yes, it is confirmed percentage. So yeah, but this is actually the interesting graph about China. You can see that the data goes up and down, the confirmed cases, so there's something wrong here, definitely. Also on this day, the data of the confirmed case spiked up, and they, oh no, that's not correct. Let's go down again. Then it goes down a lot, and then it resumes to, yeah, to a specific level again. So somehow the data is not very consistent for China. For the United Kingdom, the data is consistent, but again, you can see that there are some something is very important is missing here. The recovered cases, they are not reported. Yeah, okay. Okay, just looking at the data, Portugal, you can actually see how basically the number of cases, active cases, are going down because more and more people are recovered. So this is a very typical thing. You see the active cases going down, the recovered going up. In Austria, you can see the same thing, but this is even more extreme. Okay. After creating this plotting function, I generated for the images for all countries, and after this I generated some HTMLs. So here you can see that I have an HTML template which looks a little bit complicated, but after executing it and generating some HTML out of it, this is what you get. You get a small dashboard containing all countries, and you have per country you have one chart. Okay, so that's really it. Thank you very much for watching.